Nice. Today, all of us are here.
Yeah.
And again, to start off the session with the critics. Last week, I spoke about Ramana Maharishi, one of those spontaneously enlightened person. A slightly lesser known person is there's somebody called Atmananda Krishna Menon. So he was a police officer in Kerala. But of course, he taught and studied Vedanta for a very long time, and then his specialty is on phenomenology. That means to analyze, to understand our experience very closely. So that is what I mean by phenomenology. Nothing complex, just to see and observe and see what is there going on. So in his there is a lineage in his tradition as well. There's a guy called John Klein, who was his disciple, then Francis Lucille, and the one which is the most well known, at least to me, is Rupert Spira. So this group comes from this Atmananda Krishna Menon, but it is the same thing as Advaita Vedanta, not very different. So if you look at, for my personal thing, the people who have learned from most, one is, last week I spoke about Sarva Priyananda. Also Rupert Spira has also been equally influential. Thank you. Okay, then a little recap. We're not going to discuss all the history. So the last week our main focus was what is the self. So the main thing which we discussed was we are not our bodies, not the mind or personality or the roles which we are playing. All these are there. It's not that it is not there, but what is essentially you is that which is aware of all of things. The background awareness in which all of this thing is happening. So this was the main theme. And we discussed, not only that, we also discussed the Jungian idea of a shadow and persona, which I think was very interesting. There was a lot of interest in that. So another analogy came to my mind on this persona and shadow. Not that it may not be perfect, but thanks to Shah Rukh Khan, he has done so many roles. What came to my mind was this in Rab Ne Banadi Jodi. So there is this Surinder, who is this introverted character, and then there is his alter ego Raj. Again, like another Raj, which is like that flamboyant, romantic character. So it's not that that flamboyancy of Raj was not there in Surinder. It was there in Surinder, but it was hidden. He was not willing to his persona was, he was not willing to show that out to the world. His persona, he wanted to be the simple guy who was working in a electricity board and so on. But then that part also came out. So in the shadow and just one way to think about the shadow and persona. But then, as last week Satyan asked, hey, which is the true self? Is it Suri or is it Raj? And maybe anybody want to take a guess? And we don't want to have a long discussion on that right now, but
the observer.
Nothing.
Like in this analogy, it is Shah Rukh Khan is the true self, and Suri and Raj both are characters appearing within the Shah Rukh Khan, the actor. So just as an analogy, just to bring about, to say that, when we say that we are not our roles, we are not our shadow, we are not our persona, what do we actually mean by that? This analogy brings it, makes it clearer.
Just one
yes.
thing. We went to Ajayji's house for Anubhavananda Swami's lectures. It was for 4 days. I attended 2 days. In his lectures, he talks about Karnataka, Kare Natak. So he says, whatever you're doing, Desha Kala Patra, it is just a role that you're acting. So do everything and drop the role and come back to yourself. So in the same context.
Same, yeah, very
Same
nice.
context. So Karnataka is something that we can remember. Karnataka.
Karenataka.
Just remember perspective.
Right. It's all coming in the same direction. So today our focus is, we will do a lot more about the self in the second chapter. But today we want to know, okay, Bhai, we are now the real self. You are not the roles. How does that relate to happiness or peace? Like that's the second theme of the book, right? The happiness part. So if, okay, now you realize you are the self, so what? How does that relate to what is the relationship that to happiness? So this is the thing which we want to see. This is like, I want to read it a little bit. This is a very crucial thing. I want to read a few lines and then explain. So I will read it for today. So this is like page 35. A shift that changes everything. That's where we start. Though subtle, recognizing this deeper identity as awareness itself transform how we relate to ourselves and the world. Like this transformation to know that you are the awareness, it should not just be a theory. It should have an effect on how you relate to others and to yourselves. Otherwise, this is like really no use. Right. Just a theory. So we begin to see our roles, emotions, and thoughts not as who we are, but as expressions within a constant, deeper presence. It may sound a bit complicated, but all that I'm trying to say is the same as what Rabuji just said. Emotions and thoughts not as who we are. We are not putting that as who we are, but as expressions or roles within a constant, deeper presence. Deeper presence is, again, nothing mysterious. It's just the fact that we know that we exist, that existence. Okay, imagine someone who has spent years building their identity around being the responsible one. This one all of us can resonate with. At this age, we have been responsible at some time, right? The caretaker in the family, or steady hand at work, the career, like everywhere we have certain roles, and then we have that as something which is important to us. Not that it is not important. This role, while noble, can become a burden. It brings pressure, guilt, and fear of letting others down. So, are you able to resonate with this idea? Like, in fact, last week, Jyoti ji gave an example which took it to the extreme. She was talking about, I am the toothache. You still am, okay. That means sometimes it was so overwhelming that the identity got so enamored with that, because, okay, first you have to clear that. It cleared all, there was no bandwidth for anything else, so to speak. So that means like sometimes we can take our roles as the responsible one or the office, like I am the one who is keeping everything together, all of this to be really as who we are, rather than just as a role. Well, I can smile at somebody who said today morning, oh, you go, I'm very busy. Kala was telling, I said, no, it's okay, you can drop that for a while, change the role, come back.
Change the role.
Suppose this person comes to see that these roles, however important, are not their true identity. They recognize that they are not just the person managing life's demands, they are the awareness in which these roles arise. This is a little, some people have given me feedback that the sentence, they are the awareness in which these roles arise, is not easy to understand. But for now, provisionally, we just take it. But as we go along, we will get more clear on that.
Yeah, it is difficult because if you see the Gita, it spends at least the first 6 chapters talks about detachment.
Yes.
So only through detachment you can try and understand that you are living a dual life. That you are this person, this caretaker, all of these, or any other role that you're playing. But at the background, you are that awareness. To understand this theoretical basis itself is quite difficult. But to practically live those things that it says here, it softens the when you actually are able to understand that you are that awareness, then that the process of detachment is starting to take place. It's a long process. So this actually is very difficult. One sentence itself covers about 6 chapters of Gita.
Yeah, so I agree.
You
So
agree?
yeah, so that's why it's fine. Like as we go along, we will keep on talking about this, and we will also do meditation and those sort of practical things which can give us insight into what exactly is meant by that sentence. And most importantly, you don't have to agree. You just have to try to make an effort to see whether this resonates with you. But if it doesn't, it's okay. That's also not something which you should worry about. The moment that they see that they are in the space in which being responsible appears, the pressure begins to soften. They still care, but it's not that you suddenly stop doing it. They still care, but without being defined by their limited identity. That simple shift brings relief and inner spaciousness. Now slowly we are seeing the connection between our identity and how we feel, right? Like, if let us say we are being burdened by certain roles, like being a caretaker or being the responsible one, and then if you're like, that brings a lot of, hey, I should perform, am I letting them down, all these thoughts and emotions associated with that comes. But once you start, there's a little gap between our true identity as awareness and those roles, then it's not so much that you are a bad person, you are incompetent. It's more like, okay, even if there is some incompetence or sloppiness occurs in the place, you're able to take a step back. So which kind of already starts as a certain relief. So that's what when we say, oh, it gives a certain peace and joy of knowing who you are, means what? You're kind of putting those things, those negative emotions in its place. That's all. It's not that you're telling that shouldn't be there, but it's like, okay, this is there. Let it be there for the time being.
So does it come out of helplessness sometimes? That you are not able to be as responsible as you would like, I mean, the role you're doing, and there are certain circumstances that actually show you that you can't do a thing about it and you have to let it go.
Yes, very much.
But the burden will remain. In such circumstance, which is where he says here is, it brings pressure, guilt, and fear of letting others down. So if you're not able to do it, you're helpless. You would want to do it, but you're unable to do it. The guilt remains. Whereas, if you are able to understand that, all this is, like he said, we started off with Karnataka. If it's all Karo Natak in this, and you look at this as one of your many roles, then the whole process, there's a detachment, there is a process of letting go, and say, I did my best. So, the outcomes is not something that I can control. So, all of these we have learned. Everything seems to be condensed in this one little paragraph that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, the process is very important. We are learning the process as we go through Gita.
Yes.
But this is obviously it's a factual thing that's being stated here.
And then just to add on to what he said, there's always this thing about all these helplessness. So there is this famous thing which Buddha always talks about, the lotus and the mud. The lotus blooms only when there is a mud and swamp and so on. So the mud and the swamp are not itself too bad because it helps in the flowering of the lotus. So sometimes when we are pushed to the limit, one is like giving up and getting depressed and getting into a shell. This is one response. But it is also possible, equally possible, to really bloom
Yes.
from there. So this is so I wouldn't say helplessness as an end, but helplessness, some level of helplessness
As a
could
prompt
push you out.
switch,
Yeah.
it's a prompt.
Yes. It could be a trigger or prompt. Yeah.
This thing about being an observer and looking at the sense of feeling of guilt or the difficulty that you're facing in a particular role actually helps us. It's very difficult to do, but it helps us to look at somebody else who's going through a problem and what we would do in a situation, or how would we suggest that person to find a solution to that situation. But it's a habit thing to lose. So this thing is very, very, like you said, it is 3 layers below.
Yeah.
It is very, very difficult to even identify that this is a habit. And to consciously do that is very fruitful but very difficult. Look at it from a third person perspective. But we get lost in that. I am, like you said, I cannot think about anything other than that.
What I meant that time was that I forgot all my other roles. I was
Yeah.
not a mother, I was not
Yeah,
a wife. I was just
That role.
obsessed with my
If you can somehow make this better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not even that.
Mm.
The
Sharp pain.
sharp
Sharp
pain it blinded my
Absolutely.
brain.
It's counterintuitive, but in such moments, you get an epiphany. It's in those extreme situations when you are in the most dire. Toothache is of course one small event, but suppose you are in such dire situation, your child is sick or something really more drastic is happening. At that time, they say is that you get clarity.
And
And you're
you
able
have
to-
shared sometime back, we don't need to go into the details, but sometime back you shared that there was such an incident
Yes,
and you had a certain clarity.
Clarity. It's amazing how you know what to do at such a time. So again, it comes back to this thing you're saying. You don't think that you can control everything. Things will come to you. The clarity will come to you at the time when you actually need it. So having faith in the system, having faith in the universe, and all of this. So it's actually a very complex thing that we are talking about. Even that example that you're giving about the lotus coming. So even in chaos, you can blossom. So it doesn't matter where you are. Krishna keeps saying, whether you're in the slums of Bombay or you're in some Malibu or some, Beverly Hills, it doesn't make a difference. You can blossom here also. So there are a lot of things that are implied by these situations.
Could somebody read the next paragraph? Rituji?
I'm finding it a little bit.
Rituji, yeah.
Or take someone whose sense of self is tied to achievement, to being successful, attractive, or admired. When circumstances threaten that identity, through aging, failure, or rejection, suffering follows. However, when they begin to recognize that these are just temporary waves on the surface and that they are the ocean of awareness beneath it, something deep settles. Their being no longer rises and falls with the tides of opinion or outcome.
It's the same thing. But I just wanted to bring that out a little bit because for most of our profile of people, being successful is something we attach an importance to that. Or being attractive or admired. Like a lot of people have this thing about, hey, like my hair is graying, my weight is increasing, like all of this is like changeable things. And then we have an attachment to our identity to, oh, I am getting old. So you are not getting old. I mean, if you know that who you are is one step behind, then oh yeah, of course there is aging happening. So that's a very different way of looking at it than telling I am getting old. Or like for success, for example, one of the things which I have noted was like I have a lot of connection with squash players, because when athletes are there, for them success is an important thing. Of course, otherwise they won't be like, if winning really feels good, and that keeps going. Then there's no two ways about that. Nobody can ultimately say, oh, I really don't care about winning or losing. You do care at some level, but it not only you're not usually able to drop it and move out quickly. Let's say you lose a match, by the time you are recovered and come back to normal, it's quite some time. Usually, I've heard people say, I couldn't sleep the whole night. Or if there is a competition coming next day, just the thought whether how am I going to perform, this one will keep you awake. Not that it is wrong or anything, but what I'm trying to say is it just shows how much we identify with the outcome. If it is just an outcome, if there's two neutral teams playing, let's say New Zealand and South Africa, we may root for one or the other, but we can really enjoy the cricket game. Whereas if India is playing, then all our thing, it's not about enjoyment of the game, it's about whether my favorite player scored or whether the other guy dropped the catch. You won't see the beauty of the other guy catching it. You would rather be seeing, oh, that guy is dropping the catch rather than so. All our entire perspective changes once we start identifying with one or the other.
That's a very good example actually. How we get attached to that when we start to look at Indian team versus any other.
Actually, that's how I started watching tennis matches. Because India was nowhere in tennis at that point of time. And cricket all the time,
Too much investment.
Too much of emotion.
But this is something which all of us experience at some point of time, whether it's as a sportsman or whether it's in our corporate career, and especially people who are leaving or who have just left their corporate career, they always feel a loss of identity because they've always attached themselves to their responsibility at that time. And I have a very close friend who went twice through the same process. First company, he lost a job, very fish out of water. I kept on telling, this is old, doesn't matter. Then again he got a job, again he jumped into it, totally, now he's retired. And, it was very difficult for him to detach himself as you say.
Yeah. It's not wrong to be fully engaged in the role. That's not at all we are claiming it. We just see from a big picture and saying, hey, why this is what is happening. So maybe if let's say you are like you start feeling if there's a little bit of healthy stress. Okay, I need to perform well. You kind of pump yourself up and do it. That's okay. But once it gets into like an excess anxiety and it is causing other problems, then hey, this role identity has become too much. There is probably time to take a step back.
Very interesting. Maybe because we're talking about what are the things that we identify ourselves with. It's amazing. You can sit quietly and take a piece of white paper, draw a circle there. Because who are you? I take ownership for me and my family, my job, my friends. There are various levels of attachment that I have for some of these things. It's very interesting as to, the winning and losing of cricket match. I love cricket. I'm very passionate about it. And therefore I'm very interested in making sure, I root for my country. So those kinds of things, you'll find that there are so many things that you're attached to. So doing a self-audit of where you are, will give you a perspective and saying, I'm attached to so many things and this is my persona that I've created for myself based on all of this.
Maybe if I can just say that most of Western psychology about knowing yourself is this one. Like my roles, my identity, what all comes, I count as me, and what all I don't count as me. And then it just stops there, which is also good. Like if you know that what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, all this is good. But then here, Advaita Vedanta is asking you to take one more step back. So this is something which is very unique.
And probably it helps us in getting free from these circles of moh maya. The attachments are basically moh maya. Whether it's your society, whether it's your friends, whether it's your family.
What are we doing on time? Okay, let's do that. Okay. So the next paragraph is where the connection to happiness and self-recognition brought up. Anyone can maybe read the first part.
Yeah.
Okay. Ananda, happiness through self-recognition. Advaita does not stop at stripping away false identities. It also points to what remains when all else fades. A quiet, joyful presence. The true self, pure awareness, is not dry or distant. It is inherently blissful because it is free from the sense of lack and insecurity that comes from identifying with a limited self. When we recognize...
Okay, let's do some more. We can stop here for a moment. Yeah. So what here is when we remove all our identities, usually when we think that there is nothing more left. So this is the point where the speciality of Vedanta itself is to say, hey, when you remove all your identities, there is something still there. You are there. So this is the point which is very important. So it's not that if you remove all the identities, you are not there. You are still there. A quiet, joyful presence.
What is you mean by limited self?
Correct. Then I come to that step. That's a very important sentence. The true self, pure awareness, is not dry or distant. It is inherently blissful because it is free from the sense of lack and insecurity that comes from identifying with a limited self. If you look at all our sense of lack, whatever we have, or insecurity, it can only come from a limitation, right? If there is a limitation, then you feel a sense of lack. If everything is unlimited, will you feel a sense of lack? I'm just raising this question.
I'll give an example. We all use a camera, we all, when we growing up, we say, okay, look at that bird or look at that building. So everything is this thing on focus. There is so much that is going around in the world. But we are asked to focus on that because there is a specific requirement that if you look at that bird, what color it is, you analyze it and look at it. There's a reason. But if you see all our lives, we're only focusing on little things. I must focus on this work. I must focus on doing this. Otherwise, I can't, then there is no clarity. Then I mess up so many things. So even when I work, I order my emails. Only that. So that picture of the camera.
Are we also doing similar focusing about who we are?
Who?
When we come to ask our question about who we are we doing a similar focusing?
Focusing.
Yes. Yeah.
So exactly that we are limiting ourselves to, I am this, I am father, I am a husband, I am a son, I am all of that. But we compartmentalize all of that. We don't look at ourselves as that boundless free element.
This sentence what I'm trying is exactly. So what I'm trying to say here is, you take any sense of lack. A lack means what? Something is
Missing.
Something is missing. Right? Otherwise, you will not have. If you think that nothing is missing, you will never feel a sense of lack. Or even insecurity is also coming from some kind of a limitation. So if there is no limitation, there is no, there cannot be insecurity or sense of lack. So this one is just logical. It's nothing. So I just want to connect this to one thing which maybe it's a little bit of a digression, but I think it's still important to do this. In one of the Upanishads, the self is defined as Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahman. Brahman is the self. It's not too complex, so I'll explain it. Satyam is existence. Jnanam is consciousness or awareness. Anantam is everything. It's not Anandam. Here we are not talking about the Ananda. Anantam. Limitless. So it's defined as limitless existence, limitless awareness is Brahman or the self. I just want to bring these two together. The roots are there in the Upanishad. I can't remember which one. I think it's Taittiriya Upanishad or something like this. So, and Sarvapriyananda gave a very nice explanation. I think he also has got it in his lineage. That limitations can be of three types. One is you're limited by space. You're here, but not there. Like that is a limitation, right? Singapore is in Asia, but Singapore is not in America. We are sitting in Tanjung, you are not in Holland Village or whatever. So you are limited by space. This is a little complex topic, but let's do it. The second one is you are limited by time. We live in 2000s, we never lived in 1800s. That's a limitation of time. So something exists in time, in a particular time, it did not exist in the past, or it did not exist, it will not exist in the future. That's a limitation of time. The third limitation is what he calls as a limitation in object. The book is a book. Book is not the sofa. It's a limited object. Slowly. So there are only three types of limitations which you can have. One is limitation in space, here but not there. Limitation in time, or limitation in object. This body and not that body. That is a limitation.
Comes down to Desh Kal Patra, isn't it? Desh will be the location,
Kal
Kal
is-
is the time,
Yeah.
and Patra is the.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. But put it in to say that all limitations can only come from these three aspects. Desh, Kal,
Patra.
Patra, yes.
Role or
right. And then the definition of Brahman is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. That means unlimited in space, unlimited in time, and unlimited in object. So, and then the claim is touches you. We will come to that slowly. So that's a huge claim, right? We are talking about something that is unlimited in space, unlimited in time, and unlimited in object. Is you.
Is the object the same as the knowledge, or is it different?
We can anything which you can consider both as object. Like a thought is also an object, you can say. In the Vedanta, anything which you can say, can point and say this, that is an object.
But beautifully explained, because time, space, you explain time, space, and within time, space, what are we actually engaged in? So we are limiting ourselves in this. Whereas, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahman is beyond this. So therefore that distinction that's what this topic is about.
Correct. I know it sounds very far-fetched, right? It's a huge claim. We're talking about, oh, no limitation in space, no limitation in time, no limitation in object. What are we talking about? Can it become more practical? But what he's trying to say is, it is practical because that is you. Our current experience of the isness or the amness of us is that. It is not something distant.
All the attributes we do in duality towards God are those. So all we have to do is consider ourselves as God.
Yeah. Or we can just say, or ourselves as zero is also okay.
Zero.
And then leave everything to God. So both are.
What do you mean by that, Ritesh? I didn't understand what you said.
All the attributes of being limitless, of being timeless, are the attributes we have for God. You will say for Krishna.
Yeah.
We even limit it not
Yeah.
only to a big
Mm.
superpower, we even have names for the smaller
Mm.
entities that we devas.
Mm.
But these are actually to be applied to yourself according to
Mm. Mm.
Because Aham Brahmasmi is that is the state.
Mm.
So I think in many ways she's saying Aham Brahmasmi.
So very
This is a
beautiful.
good example of how metaphysics and philosophy actually conjure together. They actually
Metaphysics and
truly-
philosophy it conjures together with spirituality. It's yeah. But it is a very beautiful thing which you brought, like the qualities of unlimitedness is what we give to the Lord, and that's absolutely fine. There, the only thing which you should do is you should put yourself into a zero. If you say that the God is unlimited, but you are a limited being which is different from God, then you are already taking something away from God, right? Like let's say God is, you say God is everything, but then you say that you are separate from God. Then this is contradictory statements, right? One is, oh, God is this, let's say this all
Everything.
space,
Everything.
but then this little space is you.
And I'm
Doesn't make sense.
And also, I feel like to be able to see oneself, like if I have to see how I look, I don't know, I cannot see myself, right? How I look, I need a mirror or something to see how I look. So probably idol worship has come for that purpose, to
can
symbolically show and represent who you are.
Yeah, nice. So in the Bhakti tradition, what we do is this Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahman is the Lord. Who are you? Nothing. Surrender. Zero. Then it becomes equivalent.
That's a good point. Because then you can't, if everything is the Lord, how can you exist?
And you cannot be something
You
separate.
cannot be something
No,
separate.
but they say na, there is ansh of God in all of us. So, God
No,
will-
but
You are an answer.
yeah.
Two ways of looking at it. I'm the Lord Himself, or I'm part of the Lord, or I'm zero. I'm nothing.
Yeah, I'm
So,
everything or I'm
I'm everything or I'm nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm everything or I'm nothing.
I can't be separate.
Yeah.
I'm part of that whole.
So, but that doesn't make you this body mind
That's
God. That is like megalomania. So that is what Trump is trying to do. This body mind, I am the God. So no, that's what we're talking about is the complete opposite of that.
Yeah.
You already set aside all these limitations of body, mind, roles and everything, and then say, oh, okay, there exists only one thing. We can call it God, we can call it. The reason why sometimes in Advaita Vedanta they call it as Aham, or Aham is like me, because the only thing which we know for sure exists is we know that existence exists, that you exist. So that's the reason why they want to make that equivalent. Atman is Brahman. Not a megalomaniac step like, oh, you, this little person is God. No, that's totally not what is being.
So one is this megalomania that,
Mhm.
I, the body and the mind are the God. The second is I'm a part of God. They say no, ansh, like there's a big Atma, Paramatma, and then there's a small Atma.
Yeah. So that is also another tradition.
But I think even beyond that is that everything is God, like, or nothing is. I mean, you are nothing in what we call God.
Yeah. So the second, the one which you just said, oh, I am an aspect of God, or not even a part, an aspect
Which I am
of,
very comfortable with.
which is okay also, which is also a totally fine way to approach this. That is, but still, if you think that you are still this body and mind, then subject to all these limitations and problems, then you tend to suffer. And then, but if you totally surrender to the whole, so in the Vishishta Dvaita or the Vaishnavite, usually the Bhakti tradition, oh, I am an aspect of God, I surrender to the Lord, you know what to take care, I'm not going to consider this as something separate, and I'm not going to force my will onto whatever is happening. So that way it's the same, you kind of surrendered. So Prapti, that's very important in that tradition.
It's very valid because in Hindu philosophy there's what they call 6 darshanas, Shad darshanas. So in that, one of them, and each darshana is led by a very accomplished saint. Advaita Vedanta was popularized by Adi Shankaracharya. So that's the most popular one that now everyone is following. But there is also where we are the ansh of the Lord, that there is the Atma is separate from Brahman, is led by Madhavacharya. And there's lots of, dissertations, commentaries, scriptures, that is separate. It's a whole, if people want to learn that, they can go to that. We are only connected with Advaita Vedanta.
In the Bhakti traditions, we also, we are like,
It's a one way, because it's a little bit of, it comes there. But these are very established views, darshanas of
absolutely, I agree. And any of these will actually take you to the so-called moksha or the ultimate happiness. But none of them, I am this body and mind works. I am the body, mind, and that's it. Is the only thing if you look at the old tradition, it's in the Charvaka tradition. For them, it was like, oh, I am this body and mind, and we just need to.
And it's a sure route to unhappiness, actually.
Yes, if you really think that way. But the earlier, if you remember, when we discussed Epicurus.
And they don't even know.
The Epicurus, if you remember the first few sessions we discussed, he just said, focus on 2 things: bodily ease and mental peace. So that way, it's not about like, oh, you are body and mind, but you still go and enjoy this, you want to get this, you want to get that. No, he just said, oh, we lead a simple life with bodily ease and mental peace. So there was a way even in that.
And Rupert Spiner, actually, there was that lovely video, actually you can share that with everyone. He explains how you're not the body. He's having a conversation with another person, and then he kind of says, okay, start with the fact that, okay, you think you're the body. They say, okay, you're not there, you're not here. Okay, then it comes to your leg and saying, are you there? Are you this leg? No, you say that this is my leg. Then you keep moving this thing. Then are you here? No, this is my heart. So you have always qualified everything. This is my nose, these are my ears, this is my head. So therefore then, where are you? So obviously you have proved to yourself that you're not this body. So it's a very simple, then he goes on to explain in a little more complex way how you're not the mind and the intellect. And that's when,
Yes, let's just do this practically right now. Whatever the meditation which you just described in words, let's do it as a meditation now. Let's Let's sit in a comfortable position. Just take a few deep breaths. Let's take our stand as the background awareness. Whatever we discussed today, even if it is not clear, doesn't matter. Just take your stand as the awareness in which the whole range of your experience is happening. The breath goes in and out, and you are the observer. Do not try to control anything. Become aware of the sound of the air conditioning. The sensations of touch of your body on the seat. You are aware of the sound and the sensation of touch. Inevitably, thoughts will pop up. Maybe something about our children, something you forgot, or something you have to do. Like Raghuji said, these are also objects that appear in our mind. We just see them come and go. Take a gentle notice of your background mood. Is it totally peaceful? Maybe there is a little anxiety. A subtle sense of lack. Do not judge it as good or bad. Just let it arise and pass away. that our bodily sensations we consider as mine, or that is me. Whereas the sound of the air conditioner, we consider it as external. This is true only if we consider ourselves as the body. Let me repeat. If we consider ourselves as the body, then it is perfectly logical to say, oh, the body sensations are mine, the sound of the aircon is external. When we take our stand as awareness, both the bodily sensations and the sound of the aircon are both appearances in awareness. The divide between the internal or mine and external vanishes. Let's stay with this for a few minutes. And if any thoughts arise, just go back to your breath and do not judge. If you're distracted by anything, either the sounds or thoughts, just bring it back to your breath. Just becoming aware of the sound is not distraction. By distraction, I mean if it leads to a chain of thoughts. If you're waiting for the meditation to end, that's fine. Do not judge. more minute. After that, we will slowly come back to. Slowly become aware of the sound of the air conditioner. The sensations of your body touching the seat. Become aware of your surroundings and slowly, at your own pace, you can open your eyes.
I slept nice. I really slept.
It's okay.
It's the best form of meditation.
I was there with you, but then I don't know when I drifted.
So you were not waiting for the meditation to stop.
So you're not waiting for it. Usually a lot of people, okay, not in this kind of situation, but usually like when you're sitting cross-legged down, like, and there's a pain here or there, like people are waiting, when is it going to get over? Huh?
Very nice sleep therapy.
Now here we are nicely, comfortably sitting, so it's okay, good. Anybody who needs to leave, no worries. And then any reflections?
I have a question.
Hmm.
What we call limitations, could we not also call them wants? They are limitations because they are wants.
Yes, there are. Yeah, the want creates a limitation, or limitation creates a want. I think it's a chicken and egg, but yeah, you're right. It's
Yeah, because like you actually touched a chord. I have always thought whenever I read these Regency time novels, I always think I should have been in that era, you know, lovely dresses and women doing all these things. But when you were talking about limitations, I was thinking it's because I want to be in that time or that role or that space, and that's why I'm thinking that, oh my god, why am I not there? And that's why it's a limitation, and that's what is causing whatever different
Maybe
degrees
you
of
can
agony
define it
in my
and say
mind.
that I'm limited because I want.
Yeah,
I make myself limited because of my want.
yeah.
I think that's perfectly
And
valid way to say
very
that.
easy way to get rid of that probably would be to be just in gratitude.
Yes,
Because you are where you are, because you are needed at this point and in this space, in this role.
in fact, one of the biggest interventions which positive psychology has shown is showing gratitude is one of the best ways for being happy.
Yeah.
But this relationship is clearly established. Whether the mechanism of why it works is something which we can give an explanation, telling, hey, you are now when you're giving gratitude, you're more or less getting rid of certain limitations, and you feel grateful for being. That could be the discussion.
And it's a very serendipitous thought because I'm just back from Dwarka. I was telling Jyotiji that, and I went with a very clear mind this time when I went on this temple tour. I told myself, I'm not going to ask the Lord for anything. I'm just going to go and say thank you for what you have given me. I'm very grateful for that. And standing in front of the sannidhis of different lords or the temples that I visited, that was the only thought. And then you are not in any role, you are not in any time, you are not in any place.
Absolutely.
You are just pure bliss and existence. So I think the fact that we think we are limited is because we think that when we think of lack, is because we want something, and if we just get rid of that sensation that we are happy with what we are, it's very easy to fall
Absolutely.
into that greater space
That's
and
a
The
nice
mind
way
can
to-
also trick you by saying, like, if you're asking for the health of your children, you don't consider that as a lack as such, yet you are asking. So the mind can keep tricking you that way.
And it's absolutely fine to go and ask, have faith and go and ask God for health of the children or for your own career or whatever it is. It's not so contradictory. But we should know that when we are limiting ourselves, there is the cause and effect of some kind of a suffering will be there. Follow it.
There are many layers. See, when you ask, as he says, okay, health for my children and all of those. But when you set aside along with an expectation that I ask the Lord, I went over there, and then they say, oh, then my son has fallen sick, then you're in trouble. So there are many nuances to all of this.
Yeah.
It's all
Actually,
multi-layered.
asking just for the status quo is also a want.
Bond.
Yeah.
So how do you go beyond when you're in spirituality? Actually, all these are the first things that you deal with and address. So that attitude of gratitude is only the first step where you become equanimous. When you have gratitude, you become more equanimous. And that is the state in which you are able to take off and contemplate on the higher things. If you are all the time wanting things, where's the time to contemplate on those things? So it's about bringing ourselves to base before we are able to take off in this.
Being in gratitude, at least for that little moment, we have lost our limitations.
Yeah.
This is what I think. You feel you're perfectly fine with what the here and now. Like this is what, like when we say, oh, be in the here and now. The present moment is the best. What does that mean? If you have a lot of thoughts in the present moment about the future and the past, that's not being in the present moment. Present moment is really being in the now without any limitations coming from the past and the future.
No, but in limitations, we are referring to our desires or what we want.
What we think we are, that we are limited in by our body, mind, is a limitation. Oh, I cannot fly. That is very clear, right? That is a limitation, but we don't really bother with the limitation like I cannot fly.
Desires are because of limitations
Huh?
or recognition of our limitations.
Yeah, I mean, we think that we are our body and mind, and so we cannot fly. But even though that doesn't trouble anybody because nobody can fly, but somebody without eyes, which let's say they had eyes, they had sight, and then they don't, then that becomes like they're very much aware of that limitation. Hey, this is
I cannot see anymore.
I cannot see anymore. Yeah.
We always have this goal of the cost.
Okay, so are we done? So we can